it's Katie, and welcome back to my booktube channel. For today's video, I will be bringing you guys along with me while I read The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinkoski. I wanted to do a reading vlog of some of my thoughts for some 2021 releases. So there was another book I was going to include in this vlog, but I didn't finish it in time. So if you hear me mention another book, that is why. But for this vlog, we will just be focusing on The Bright and the Pale. And I think I might make this a series, so I will definitely be making other vlogs for some other 2021 releases that I plan on reading in the next few months. So look forward to that. But for now, let's just jump into the reading vlog. So this book follows 17-year-old Valeria, who is one of the only survivors of the freeze, which is this dark magical hold that was unleashed on her village, and it left basically her whole village and her family trapped in a thick layer of ice. Ever since then, she has been on the run from the Tsar, who's determined to imprison anyone who managed to escape. And she ends up taking refuge with the Thieves Guild with her best friend from home. They spend their time doing odd jobs at the Thieves Guild, but one day her best friend is brutally murdered, and then a year later she finds out that he's actually alive and being held against his will. So, to buy his freedom, she must lead a group of cutthroats and thieves on a perilous journey through the mountains that claimed her family. This book sounds really cool. I had actually heard of it before I even knew Fairy Loot was going to be including it in their box. And it sounds amazing because I've never read a book inspired by Russian folklore, and I'm very excited to see how all of that works. And also, I love that there's a magical element, and it also just sounds kind of dark with the whole village and her family being captured in this unbreakable sheet of ice. I'm sure she's going through a lot of emotions, especially because she watched her best friend be brutally murdered and then finds out that he's not really dead. So I'm sure there's a lot of complex emotions that Valeria is going through, especially since she's only 17 years old. So I'm very excited to meet her and to watch her go through this journey. And I also love that she's leading a group of cutthroats and thieves because it gives me like Six of Crows vibes. I feel like anytime there's like a group of cutthroats and thieves, it reminds me of Six of Crows. So I don't think it'll be too similar to that, but I am very excited to see if there's any similarities and if it gives me any of those same vibes. Other than that, I don't really have too many expectations for this book. I am just excited to see where it goes, and I'm excited to get to know Jessica Rubinkoski's writing. And I'm also interested to see if there's any kind of romance element, because it doesn't really sound like there is unless she has a romance with her best friend, but I don't think so. And so it'll be interesting to see if there is romance, because usually romance is my favorite part of any book, but I also do enjoy books that don't have a lot of romance because it's not something I typically read, and I know that it's kind of hard to find, especially in the YA genre, so I'm excited to see which direction this book is taken. Also, this has nothing to do with the plot, but I'm just obsessed with this edition. I don't know if you watched my Fairy Loot unboxing for it, but hopefully I'll remember to link it below. But this edition is stunning, and I'm obsessed with the sprayed edges. This lighting does not do it justice. It's like the prettiest blue, and it's like shimmery, and it's just absolutely stunning. So I will definitely be staring at this book in between reading some pages, but I will hopefully update you guys soon. I haven't started it yet, but I'm excited to see what my initial thoughts are, and I will keep you guys updated. Okay guys, so I am now 80 pages in, and sorry the lighting's kind of bad. I'm still trying to find all of my little reading spots in this new apartment, and it's also pretty late at night, so there's not very good lighting in here. But like I said, I am about 80 pages in, and I am really enjoying this so far. I feel like there's still a lot that I have to learn about the world, but I feel like Jessica Rubinkoski has done a great job with the world building. I feel like I can really picture all of the places that Valeria has been in so far, and I'm really enjoying her relationships with the other characters. I think they're very interesting, and I'm excited to see how they change as the story goes on. And also, we just met the people that or at least some of the people that she's going to go on the journey to the mountains with, and so I don't know how I feel about them yet. I don't think I trust them, but I'm excited to see more of them as well. I'm excited to see if there's any that stand out to me and ones that I'll really like. And also, I know in my intro I mentioned that I'm not sure if there's a romantic element in this book. And so far I am getting little hints of potential romance. So we'll see how that goes. It's also a romance I'm not too sure of so far, but I am excited to see where that takes us. But overall, I'm really enjoying the world. I'm enjoying learning about what happened in the past to get to this point, and learning about how the Tsar is trying to capture all the people that escaped the freeze. I think that's very interesting, and I'm excited to learn more about that. I feel like I keep saying I'm excited, but as you could probably tell, I am really enjoying it so far. I still feel like I don't have a huge grasp on the plot, but usually it takes me over 100 pages of a book before I really feel like I have an understanding and before I really get super into it. So I will probably keep reading. I'm not sure if I will update again tonight because it is getting pretty late and I have to work tomorrow, so you might not see me until tomorrow, but I will definitely keep reading, and I am looking forward to seeing where this book goes. Hey guys, it is now the next day, so I did end up reading a tiny bit more after the last update, but then I went to bed and I worked earlier, so I got a little bit of reading done there, and I also made sure to take some notes so I remembered what I wanted to tell you guys. But I am still really enjoying this book. The whole book so far has mostly been about this expedition that they're going on through the mountains, well, to the mountain, I guess, and I am still really enjoying it. Usually like the whole quest trope and all of that isn't something I usually go for. It's not usually my favorite plot line for fantasies, but I still think it is very enjoyable. And this book also is kind of slow paced, but it's done in still like a very interesting way. Like, I'm still very interested in the story, and it still makes me want to keep reading, which is good because usually I gravitate toward fast-paced stories. So I am very glad that I am still enjoying this, even though it is kind of a slower-paced book. This book is also a little different than I expected because I feel like the synopsis makes it seem like we don't get to meet Val's best friend until like the very end or like the climax point. But we actually do get to meet him a lot sooner than you would think. And I actually really do like it because it's a different dynamic than I was expecting for the book. I thought we'd see a lot more of her relationship with the other people she's traveling with, which we do get to see a lot of them. But I am glad we got to see a lot of her and her best friend Alec. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name. It's spelled A-L-I-K, so I feel like that makes sense. But I'm never sure with names in fantasy books. But I really do like their friendship. I was expecting a lot, like for it to be a lot sappier when they were reunited. I thought it was going to be just a lot of relief and like just happiness, which it does have a lot of that, but they also have a lot more conflict and a lot more things that they need to work through than I was expecting, and it's one of my favorite elements of the story. I just realized I didn't even tell you guys how far I am now. I am 225 pages in, and I think the last time I saw you guys I was only 82 pages in, so I've definitely read a huge chunk of this book since I saw you last. But I know we talked about the romance element of this book, and there's definitely a potential romance, but it definitely takes a back seat to the plot. This is a very plot-driven story, and even though I can tell that it is hinting toward a romance between two of our characters, it still seems more like a friendship to me, and it's not overwhelming. So if you're somebody who does not like romance and fantasies, I think you would actually really enjoy this. But there's still little hints of romance. So even if you're somebody like me who usually romance is like my favorite part of fantasies, I think there is still something for you in here as well. And the last thing I wanted to tell you guys is that I really am enjoying the folklore element of this. I think that's probably the most unique part of the story. I've never read a Russian folklore inspired book, and it seems to be very well done. I'm very intrigued, and it's just a different setting than I would usually read books from, and it's just really, it keeps piquing my interest. I keep wanting to read it, which is so interesting because, like I was telling you guys, there's certain elements that usually are not my favorite things in fantasy, so the fact that I'm still very interested in the story is surprising, and I am very glad that I am. So I am going to get back to reading. It's been a few hours since I've been able to read this book, and I am excited to see how it ends and to see what happens to some of our characters. Book, and I loved the ending. It definitely surprised me, which is always what I look for with an ending. I feel like a lot of times I can predict how a book's going to end, and I definitely did not expect some of the things that happened in here, so that's definitely a plus. There are definitely some brutal and violent moments in this story, and it definitely has like that horror and thriller element I was telling you guys about last time. So if you're looking for books that have a little bit of darkness to them, this book definitely fits that vibe. And I didn't really I expected it to be kind of dark, especially with the emotions I knew Valeria was dealing with, but there were still a couple moments that caught me off guard in a good way. And maybe it's because this book looks so pretty, but it feels like the topics shouldn't be as dark as they were. But anyway, I really enjoyed that, and I also loved that it definitely set up the next book in this series. So I found out that this is book 1 in a duology, so we will be getting a sequel, and I think it's coming out March of 2022, and I am definitely going to read that, even though I think I decided I will be giving this book 3 stars, which some people feel like that's not a very good rating, but with my system, I feel like you guys can understand that it still is an amazing book. It's just more of how often I think I'm going to recommend it to people, and that's why I'm giving this one 3 stars instead of 4 or 5, but I still enjoyed this enough that I want to pick up the sequel, and I am excited to see what happens because I feel like Valeria obviously had like this huge chip on her shoulder with the past, with what happened with her family and all the things that she went through with Alec and thinking he was dead for a year when he wasn't, and she has been through a lot. And by the end of this book, she goes through even more, and so she definitely has this huge chip on her shoulder, and she seems to be very vengeful, which is kind of my favorite type of main character to read about. So I'm excited to see more of her in the next book and to see how she kind of transforms a little bit more. And also there is like a magical element to this story, which I didn't talk about too much, but we got to see a good amount of that, especially toward the end. And that definitely left me wanting more of the magic in this world. So I'm definitely hoping the next book has a lot of that as well, and I definitely think it will. I also am surprisingly really liking the relationships between Valeria and some of the other characters we're seeing. I'm excited to see how those develop in the next book, and I really did enjoy them. This book, even by the end, was still not very romance heavy. So I definitely think that is a bonus if you are somebody who does not like romance being in the forefront of fantasies. I know those are really hard to find, so I would definitely recommend this one to you. And even though we are in spring approaching summer, if you're looking for a book that gives you those cold vibes, like wintry vibes, this would definitely be for you. So those are kind of all my thoughts. I will be leaving a full review on Goodreads, which is linked below in the description if you want to see what my thoughts are when I have a little bit more time to put them all together. But that's where I'm at right now, so I'm going to probably take a little bit of a break from reading, but I think I'm going to start Witches Steeped in Gold today because I'm just in a reading mood. So next time I see you guys, I will probably have some initial thoughts on that book. So let's jump into that. Thank you guys for coming along with me while I read The Bright and the Pale. I hope you enjoyed seeing my thoughts. I really loved making this for you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I would really, really appreciate it. And if you do subscribe, make sure to click the notification bell so you know when I upload next. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in my next video.